Yes. Hi, how are you?
Hi. Fine, very good. Thank
Good,
you very
good, good
much.
to hear. Well, first of all, thank you so much for being willing to do this. As a Fleshgod fan, I can't tell you how happy I am and how nerve-wracking it is to speak to you, especially
Thank
for
you.
one guitarist who I really look up to. Yeah. So how's it been for you? How's life been since COVID started? Because obviously Italy was one of the first country in Europe to get hit the hardest, and it's still not over yet. So how has it been for you since
How
this whole
it's
thing
been
started?
so far? Well, very, very different during the time, of course, because when it started, we were supposed to have a big tour in the US
Mhm.
with an orchestra. A lot of places were already sold out, so we were ready to have a good one, and probably should have been the most important of our career so far. So it was very, very disappointing for us to, give up because it was impossible to start the tour. We tried till the end to understand if it was the possibility to at least go there with a plane with a flight, and understand if we were able to do it. But in the end, with all the management and focusing how was evolving the situation, we decided to not to risk, because stay safe is the most important thing. Every time most time we want to to push ourselves to do something, but this time we knew that was too risky, and then we decided to not to go and stay home. And we were right, because then even in the US it became crazy, the situation. So
Yeah.
we tried. Even another band I remember in that period, was like April or something, or March straight, was like Insomnium. They wanted to
Oh.
go to the US to do a tour, but in the end they were forced to come back, because it was impossible to guarantee people in every gig. So they were forced to come back, and in the end, so it's been very hard so far, because touring for a band is always the most important thing. Okay, not just for the money, of course, but even for the contact that you have with the people, because in the
Mm,
end, it's the most beautiful thing that you can do, to go on the stage. Okay,
yeah.
um, I miss a lot. It really miss. It's
Mm,
more than 1 year that we don't play, and it's very, very, very hard for us. But we are trying to resist and do a lot of stuff for our fans. We are releasing a lot of stuff at the acoustic single, the live streaming. Now we have this new single, so we're trying to produce as much as we can to stay on top, even
mm,
even if it's difficult, of course, for us, because not playing live is the most important thing for us, to play live, and we
mm,
cannot. So it's the same situation more or less for every band, and we
yeah.
are trying to evolve with the COVID. So we are trying to understand how it is to remain a musician in a metal band without playing live, understanding how it is. And it's not easy, definitely.
Mm,
Okay, because we are a live band, really live band. Okay, we are born for the stage, we live for the stage, and we have to change the way we see the music, and it's not easy, but we are trying to.
yeah, yeah. I'm sure all of your fans agree, that they miss seeing you guys live as well. Obviously, it must have been so heartbreaking to cancel one of potentially the biggest show ever for you guys. And I
Yeah,
bet not just you guys, but even your fans, they must have been shattered to finally be able to watch you guys live with like a proper orchestra and things like that. It would have been
of course.
phenomenal if it actually happened. So it's a shame that it didn't happen, but obviously, like you said, the most important thing is to keep everyone safe and to obviously stay alive, because if you're not alive, you can't produce great music. And
Definitely.
yeah, but yeah, I think yeah, it has come to the point where everyone is just literally trying to figure out how to be a musician, like you said. To be honest, I'm not a full-time musician, so I have a daytime job, so it's still kind of fine in that sense. But I do feel for musicians like yourself where the stage is where you need to be, not just from the money point of view, but for also the emotional point of view. Like you said, you live for the stage.
Exactly.
Yeah, so it must be very difficult. So I'm very sorry to hear that. But
It is us.
yeah, but of course, thank you guys still for producing as much as you can despite all the difficulties, the acoustic ones, and obviously my recent favorite is No. I have to say, No, like really blew my mind when I heard it. It was crazy, and yeah, as always, the solo was really great, very emotional. But we'll talk more about the solo at the later part of this interview here. Okay, well, so thanks. Obviously, very sorry to hear about what happened, but thanks for sharing. And I'm sure it will mean a lot for your fans to hear that from you as well, especially those who couldn't catch you guys in the US. So yeah, so then. From my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, but you were not one of the first few members. Obviously, Fleshgod started about 15 years ago. 14 years ago. And I think you joined like maybe 4 years ago, like 2017.
Exactly.
More or less. Exactly. Okay, so I understand Fleshgod has like the core members, and then they often have session members like yourself. So how does it work for you as a person? So are you like a full-time with the band in the sense like you're part of the band, or are you still a sessionist for Fleshgod in that sense?
No, I am an official member now. So
congratulations.
Since like a couple of months, more or less, I am an official member.
Since last year, right? I think it's like 2020.
Yes. Yeah. Like in December, we were. I was official, like a permanent member. Before this date, I was like. In the beginning, I was really a session because Cristiano was still in the lineup, in the official lineup, even if he wasn't able to go on tour. For his personal reasons, and I joined them like a live member in the beginning. Then with the time, I actually starting to be an unofficial permanent member. How to say? Okay, but we were having also problems with having a stable lineup even with the drums, because we had David for a couple of years, and then he went away, and the guys wanted to wait to officialize a stable lineup because they wanted to have even the other member as a permanent member, so to be a band altogether without like the need to announce different member during the time, for different reasons. So we wanted to do a big news about the members in one shot, let's say.
Yeah. Rather than doing it again and again and again with like different people.
But practically I was permanent since 2018 actually. But the news has just been released in December, so.
I see. So that's the official news.
Yeah, the official thing. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so how does it work then, being like an official, but of course still with Cristiano in the lineup? How were you involved in the records, or were you just solely focused on touring with them and not really contributing to the albums?
No. I understand. In the beginning, of course, was a period where there was not record in our way, so we were still doing the tours to promote King. It was like 2017. King was out 2016, so we were still promoting live King as an album. So in the beginning, of course, I was not participating in any record because there was no record. Then we started to work on Veleno. The guys started to work on Veleno, and then there I participated in recording stuff the guitars and then the solos, and we work together even in the solos, in the pre-production and then in the recording, in the real recording, of course.
I see.
I participated in Veleno and in the last single as an official member, of course.
Ah, nice. Well, thanks for sharing that. So how did all of this happen for you? I mean, it's not like every day where everyone can just join such an established band such as Fleshgod, because obviously you're joining a band with such a huge fan base. So how did it all happen? Did you get like a phone call, a message, or did you happen to know the guys from somewhere?
You mean how I joined them? How is the process that brings me to them? Because I always been in the death metal Italian scene, you know. Okay, so, and for a long time I played even in other bands like in Hideous Divinity, which is a death metal band from Italy, in Century Media Records. Now they are with Century Media Records. And back in the days was under Unique Leader Records, specific death metal band. Okay. Then before this, I played in another band called Prometheus Unbound, which is very underground band with Cristiano, the previous guitarist of Fleshgod. So I know him, I knew him. We were playing together for a couple of years, I remember. And when he decided to stop touring, he suddenly thought about me to replace him on the stage. And step by step, I became an official member because by now are more than 4 years that I play with them. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. How time flies. Well, how did it feel when you went on stage for the first time wearing a proper tuxedo? Like, it must have felt so difficult.
It was great. I remember it was very, I was very, how to say, I felt the tension, because I remember the first gig where I played was in the European tour with Karakandren in January 2017. And I was in München, in Germany, in a very famous venue called Backstage. A lot of bands, and when they tour in Europe, they go in this venue. It's very nice. And I remember that we were in front about 500, 600 people. It was very nice to play there. And yes, it's a good memory for me, definitely.
Nice. Yeah, to be honest, I can't, there are not many bands out there who play all dressed up like you guys when you guys go live. So every time I watch Fleshgod play live, I'm like, wow, is it easy? Is it difficult? Like, how does it actually feel? Because in most cases,
honestly, it's so uncomfortable, I have to say. But if you wanna give something to the people, you have to give them something more than just a live show, because our music is not just technique or show off of what you can do. It's more, and it's something that involves even your imagination, your feelings, in a deep way. Okay, so we always wanted to communicate something deeper and more spectacular to the people, and this is the reason of our clothes. Then of course it's not comfortable, and if you compared the level of difficulty of what you have to play on the stage and the show, and how hard it is to play with that kind of clothes, it's very hard, definitely. But yeah, the sweat, you are very stressed, physically very hard, but it's nice.
Well, yeah, it's like you said, it's part of the show, and it would, as fans, if we don't see Fleshgod in their suits, we'd be like, oh, did we come to the right gig or not?
Yeah. By now, it's our image, okay, on the stage. So
so even if it's difficult.
Yeah, it changed, of course, during the time. You remember back in the days, there was just a sort of frock with, the papillon, and was more like a musician. Then it became more like 19th century dress, like on King. Then it became 19th century dress, but more dark, more zombie. Okay, like the last one.
Like no, yeah.
Oh yeah. because, you know, the atmosphere in Old Veleno is more dark, more serious, more, how to say, more intimate for, you know, many reasons. So the choose to have this new dress with these new dark colors is because of this.
Nice to know. Well, it's nice because I think it adds an additional dimension to a band, especially when they make the effort to dress up rather than just wearing their own clothes or wearing like a normal t-shirt or anything, because this obviously adds to the entertainment level as well. Like even when you take band photos and take music video, shoot music videos, or even perform live, it's like, yeah, it's a different level altogether when you actually dress up like that. Yeah.
If you do even a nice light show in you know, everything is gonna be better, okay? Because on the stage you have your presence, and then even the light guy make a good job, and everything on the stage has another meaning, of course, okay?
Yeah, of course. Okay, well, nice to hear that. Okay, so let's talk about you on the guitar next. So it's no secret that you're obviously a super shredder. So when, especially being in a band, how do you maintain, I mean, how do you balance your time between writing songs and practicing? Because obviously when guys like me, when I look at you, I'm like, yeah, you have nothing else left to practice because you kind of like, you can kind of play everything already. But I'm sure in your own way, you're like thinking, oh, there's this new technique that I want to improve on and things like that. So at that sort of high level of skill, how do you practice, how do you balance your time between practicing and also writing songs?
It depends. It depends on the need that you have. If you start to write something on your own that you can publish or not, because it depends on what you want to do with your music. When you are inspired and you want to communicate something, is the moment where you have to give time to you know, writing something. Because I think that writing something is not, writing something good is really linked to the moment where when you have something to say, not just because you stay in front of your DAW and you put the MIDI and you find the idea there. Okay, you have to need to communicate something that has to do with your life, or something that you really think is important for you. Okay, that could be a general thing of philosophy, or an intimate emotion that you have for a fact that happened to you, or something like this. Okay, but to me, the best things comes from a real emotion that you have, not just an artificial way to write music just because you are in front of your DAW, you have the guitar and you find a good riff, because it can be good under many point of view, but poor under, you know, the point of view of the meaning that, you know, is very important. Okay, so I think that when you feel this, it's the moment to write. Otherwise, you have to concentrate on the practice. But I'd say practice not just on, you know, understanding new techniques or whatever, because there is practice and practice. I tend to think about my practice for the stage most of all. So far, I've done in this way. Okay, so how to reproduce this kind of stuff on the stage in a proper way, taking into account the show I have to do. Okay, and maybe the fact that, of course, on the stage you are not in the studio. Okay, and definitely all the condition that you find on the stage is totally different. Okay, because when you are at home and you are recording your stuff, you are seated, you are comfortable, you don't have any kind of problems, and you can play different takes even with the most difficult techniques. Okay, maybe some technique that you don't really manage. Okay, you can manage it, but not on that level. You can bring it on the stage, but you can do. Okay, but on the stage you have to be confident with everything. Okay, so you have to think about the performance with your guitar, not just the technique. Okay, so you have to think about what is important and what is less important to have a good show. Okay, and this is the most important practice that a live musician have to do. Okay, then of course I investigate the technique, the picking motion, all the stuff that is important to know. But to me, a good guitarist is a guitarist that delivers something on the stage. Okay, this is the most important thing for me, at least.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense because a lot of people can play very well at home or at least appear to be able to play very well at home in front of a camera, but who knows how many attempts they made to get that video right. But live, you only have one chance, and if you screw up,
it's
you
a
screw up
different thing. It's a different because live is not all about technique. It's about feeling. It's about a lot of stuff. Okay, the sound that you have. I mean, not the amplified sounds. I mean, really the sound in your hand. Okay, not just the fact that you can pick all the notes. This is important, definitely, but in a band that wants to share something with the people, music, I think, the most important is that you have to deliver something, an emotion, a feeling through the way you play, the way you act also on the stage. It's different. Playing live is a different job than playing at home, okay? And sharing stuff on the internet or whatever. It's totally another kind of job to me.
Yeah, especially.
Not bad, different, okay? I'm not saying that it's bad or worse, but it's totally different.
Yeah, exactly, because of course on stage you have eye contact with the fans as well when you bend certain emotional notes.
Yeah, of course. The emotional level is higher in band. Then there is, the fact that probably you can have technical difficulties, or probably there is the light show. You have the clothes. You have the emotion from the people. Okay, it's totally different, definitely.
Yeah, of course.
So things that you have to take into account are much more than staying at home. Okay.
Yep.
And I tend to practice thinking about this. Okay, just simulating what could be the show and trying to reproduce it on my practice at home. Okay, so it is the practice that I most of the time.
Wow, nice to know. It's actually the first time I've heard that, and it's a very interesting way of looking at practice. Actually, so your approach is more on not to say more, but then you pay emphasis on being able to deliver live and not just being able to do it in your bedroom or in the studio.
Yeah, definitely. Of course, I always spend practice on the guitar, trying to get better on picking and stuff like this. I do, like every guitarist otherwise. But my real practice routine is when I have shows, okay, to do, when I have tours, and then I do my practice routine. Otherwise, it's just keeping my technique in shape and just being curious to understand different techniques and studying stuff like this. But it's not real practice. It's more how to say, investigating the instrument, for your pleasure. The real practice to me is when I have to go on the stage. I don't have a real, how to say, specific practice routine that I do every day in my bedroom. When I stay at home, I am curious to to investigate the instrument, to understand how it works with another technique, and then of course I try to have fun, to manage the technique and whatever. But I wouldn't say that I am real practicing because I want to have a sort of daily schedule of what I have to do. It's not this. The real schedule is when I have to go on the stage.
I see. Well, thanks for sharing that. And so you spoke about delivering an emotion. So like, obviously with your solos, in a lot of cases, your solos are filled with a lot of emotion. No is a very good example where it's a very expressive sort of solo, despite the shredding, but there were those few core notes that you focus on, just holding on to those notes. So how do you approach writing a solo like that? How do you always write such an emotional solo? Because it's not an easy thing to do. Sometimes people say, and it's quite true when people say it's harder to play less notes and it's easier to play more notes, because if you shred, you can just go over many notes and it will sound good, but to be able to hold on to like 1, 2, or 3 notes for a long time, that is very difficult to do. So how do you pick?
It's all about it's not explainable, because it's something that you feel that is right for you on your taste, okay? And but of course, when we work on the solos, because even the solos in Fleshgod is a work team. I work with Francesco to have the final shape, okay, of the solos, because everything in Fleshgod is not doable by your own. You have to communicate with the other guys on what you have to do, especially the two Francescos, okay, because they are the mastermind of the band, okay. So even the solos is not a simple process, because sometimes you have to change chords underneath, so you have to keep into account what happened on the orchestra, a lot of stuff. So it's impossible to work alone, even on a solo. So we have to do a sort of 6 hands, 4 hands work, okay? Because maybe I have an idea and we work on it, Francesco has an idea, we work on it, and then the final sound, of course, comes out from my hands. But it's a team job, okay? But definitely, the fact that the solos are so dramatic, so this is the right thing that we can say about the solos. So are dramatic. We concentrate a lot on technically the vibrato parts, okay? Because every vibrato parts has to last for a certain period and must be different from the other vibrato parts, because it has to communicate something different, okay? Can be harder, can be soft, can be emphasized in a different way, okay? It depends. We really pay attention on how to play the long notes and the vibrato, which definitely create the real melody. The shred between the different long notes is a linking between key notes, okay? So this is the way we think about the solos. I want to go from the point A to the point B with a feeling, okay? So trying to understand a sort of storytelling of a solo, okay? And from the point A to the point B, maybe you need more notes, and then there is the shred. But a shred is never a show off. It's always, you know, something that tend to bring you to another point of the solo, okay, to another important note, okay. This is the more or less the way to the solos.
Wow, that's interesting. And yeah, that's actually very difficult to do, because like I mentioned earlier, it's so hard to make sure the vibratos are right and things like that. And a lot of times people just shred their way through the entire solo. I mean, you will say, yes, good job, you're able to shred, but then musically, sometimes it just lacks that emotional value, like which is something that you guys do so well, that emotional value in your solos. In fact, I think the solo in No was one of the more beautiful solos I've heard in like 20. Wait, was it in January did you guys launch, or was it in December? So anyway, yeah. So it was the one of the best solos I've heard during this whole COVID period, and then it was so good that I thought, okay, maybe I should try learning this one. And then obviously I tried to learn the vibrato parts, and I just gave up when I got to the shred parts, because they were like so impossible to play, because I think you run from
it's not,
the
it's
front
definitely not impossible. Definitely not impossible. It's very standard position. You have to manage the techniques, okay, especially the picking techniques, because you know the shred parts are very fast, and I mostly use economy picking technique to have more, how to say, to be more fluid, okay, when I go from string to string without too much effort, okay. And the sound that you hear even on the solos of Veleno, when you hear the runs and the scales and whatever, it's everything about, you know, economy picking or this kind of techniques most of the times, okay.
I see. Well, yeah, good to know that it's not impossible, but I kind of like gave up on trying to learn the song. But even the vibrato parts were quite difficult, to be honest. They sounded so easy, but when I tried to play exactly like how you did on the record, it's actually not easy to replicate at all.
No, we spend tons of time to decide what kind of vibrato we want. Okay, we spend a lot of time because playing a note in a way could give you a totally different feeling. Okay, if you play in another way, as another feeling, and it's really changing the way you feel the solo. Okay, is so important, so important.
Yeah, in other words, the no solo, actually the harder part is the slow part compared to the fast part. I mean, if one is able to shred, he might not actually be able to play the vibrato parts because they are actually quite difficult. They're not as simple as they appear to be.
No, it's not simple. You have to apply, you have to have a lot of control of your vibrato. If you don't have the control, you have to, I would say it's very inspired to the vibratos of Marty Friedman and Malmsteen. Okay, for example, Marty Friedman uses a lot of these kind of vibratos, like delayed vibratos. It play a note and it starts to vibrate the note, not suddenly, but after a millisecond. So you have the feeling that the note is starting with a vibrato and then starts to vibrate. And we use a lot this kind of solution, okay, because it's more dramatic, gives you more feeling. And then of course can be wider or less wide, but or can be dirtier with more scratch on the string, more noise, more rock, I would say. Okay, we try to apply a lot of noise on the notes because creates a better sound. Okay, more fat, more rock. Okay, it's the way we do the vibrato. It's not just the note itself, but all the noise that is produced around the note. Okay, like a slide, the way you scratch the string before starting to vibrate or to apply the bending. Okay, it's a lot of feeling that you have to apply in a single note, not just the note and the vibration. Okay,
yeah.
It's not easy.
Wow.
Because we spend a lot of time to the sound we want to create on each note. Okay, each note has to communicate something, and to communicate something, it's not enough to play the note. You have to play the note, but in a certain way with a lot of other things around. Okay.
Yeah. Obviously, I think apart from the good choice of notes, like you said, the way you play those notes are very important as well. Because
play the note is as important as the quality of the notes that you want to do. Okay, because if you don't play the notes in the right way, maybe you have a nice melody, but you're not aware there is a nice melody unless you play it in the right way. Okay.
Yeah. Wow. It's actually really the first time I've spoken to someone who's so into the vibrato itself. Obviously, some people talk about the tone being in one's fingers and one's hands, not so much the gear. And in this case, it is really in the fingers where you produce that specific tone and that specific amount of noise, string noise and scratch, etc. It's really all from the hands and not so much from the guitar or the amp you're using.
No. It's, of course, if you use the right sound, you will listen on what you want to listen better. Definitely, if you use a rich sound, like with a good delay, a good how to say amount of gain or whatever, and equalize in the right way, you are more conscious of what you want to obtain. Definitely, so the quality of the sound play a good role, but definitely everything comes from the listen that you had during your life, okay, and to the influences that you have in your life. For example, under this point of view, I had a lot of influences from Malmsteen, from Marty Friedman, and from Andy Timmons, which is to me one of the best player ever lived under the point of view of the single notes and the vibratos part. So the way he plays the notes in a dramatic way is totally probably the best I ever heard. Okay, it's incredible. It's fantastic, definitely.
Well, I shall go listen to more Friedman, Malmsteen, and Andy Timmons.
Andy Timmons is
very emotional, sort of. Yeah.
fucking great. Yes.
Yeah, he is actually very amazing. Well, okay, well, thanks so much for being so detailed about, vibrato itself. So you talked about tone and getting the right tone. So the way I would ask this question is a very special way. So assuming you stand in front of an amp that you've never used before or a plugin that you've never used before, where do you start when it comes to trying to find the tone, the lead tone that you want? Like, do you start with like the gain? Do you start with cutting out all the mids, boosting the mids, or how do you start when you stand in front of a new amp?
Okay, give me a sec because my phone is going
The
down.
battery is
Yes.
low.
Okay.
Yep, no
Yes.
problem.
Well, everything starts from the quality of the plugin that you use. For example, I use specifically a couple of plugins, not many, I have to say, because once I find the sound that I want, I keep it for a long time. So now I'm playing, for example, with Neural DSP and Overloud, and another couple of plugins, but most of all Neural DSP, that now I think is probably, if not the best, between
one of the top.
yeah, great, definitely great. Not easy to play with, but definitely so nice. The sound is crazy. Well, of course, I try to create the chain, okay, the normal chain that all the guitarists have when it comes to have, for example, a rhythm sound or a delay sound, okay, with the solos, of course. So I start with a noise gate, definitely, then an overdrive that could be like a simulation of a tube screamer most of the time, or whatever. The most important thing that sounds good, okay, and these kind of plugins are great. So then, of course, I try to have an amp that simulates the sound of a PV, like a 5150. That is my favorite sound because it's tight and it's very detailed and defined, okay? So I PVR the amplifiers that I always loved during my life. So I want to have something that really keep that kind of sound even in a virtual amp or in a plugin, okay? So I have developed my ears to have that kind of sound. So tight and defined, okay, but without losing the fatness, okay, when it comes to play rhythm. So it's a sound that is very detailed but rich, okay. When you go to the low hands and on your palm mutes, you have to feel, okay, a rich sound, not a dry sound, okay. Detailed but rich, okay. So a good amount of low hands frequencies and high hands frequencies. And when it comes to regulate the mid, I don't tend to take off too much mids because I want to hear the notes that I play, okay. I don't just want to hear the punch of the sound. So I keep the mid not really in the middle, a little bit less, but I want presence with the middle, okay. Definitely presence. Otherwise, I don't listen to the notes as much as I want to, okay, when it comes to play with the rhythm. When I have to go to the solos, I don't have really a favorite real amplifier, but I try to find the more fluid and easy sound possible to play, okay, because especially when it comes to go on to stage, you have to be helped by the sound, not the other way around, okay. So I want something that helps me to express what I want to express, because in the end, what it's important is the music, not really the way how you arrive to reproduce the music that you want, okay. So if I can be helped by the sound, I want to be helped by the sound, okay. I don't have any problem to say this because to me it's important. So I want a sound that is very fluid as much as possible. So a good amount of bass when it comes to, for example, switch from my bridge pickup to the neck pickup. I want to feel the low hands very, very deep. Okay, I want to feel a good amount of low hands frequencies when I shred, especially. Okay, because the sound is more round and you are less concentrated on the possible little mistake that you feel, because everything is more fluid and more round. Okay, so it's very important. Then of course, important is to have quality on the high frequencies, because when it comes to play, especially slow parts, I want to be very brilliant with my sound. Okay, I want to be very clear, very bright. Okay, and especially when it comes to play notes with a lot of, how to say, noise around, like scratch or slides or whatever. If you don't emphasize too much the high frequencies and the mid frequencies, you don't listen to that kind of sounds enough. Okay, but you have to obtain that kind of sounds working on that frequencies. Okay, without losing precision, because of course, as much as you rise the high frequencies and the mid frequencies, you listen more attack, of course, and more noise, even if you're playing very clean. Okay, because the dirt is coming out. But you have to modulate and use the right sound according to what you want to do. Okay, so basically, but in the end is a fluid sound with delay, not very long delay, so very short. I mean, about timing, and a little bit of room, like reverb, but nothing more. Okay, so it's a very easy sound. I don't need many stuff on my sound.
Oh, that's very interesting. So do you have different patches for when you use the neck and bridge, or it's just one patch that?
No, it's just one. It's just one patch, but works perfectly when I switch with my. Okay, so.
And that is sometimes actually quite difficult to find, because sometimes when you find the right patch or the right tone for when you use the bridge pickup, it sounds quite shit when you shred on the lower notes, and you get
of course. So you have to even to work a little bit on the noise gate, because if you use too much gate, you lose a lot of frequencies, and so you have to be on that limit. If you rise up too much the threshold, you lose sound. Okay, but if you have no threshold, you need to noise. You have to noise. Okay, and it's impossible to play. So you have to keep the noise in the middle. Okay, without ruining too much the sound when it comes to play within the bridge pickup, and keeping it clear as much as possible, clean, but without ruining the sound. Okay. That's the way I do it.
Oh, okay. That's a good tip. I shall try, because it's something that I've also been struggling with, especially with trying to get the lead tone. And it's quite true that you say neural DSP is one of the best, because I think I've been trying so many different tones, and by far the Pliny is my favorite.
Pliny is great, especially for the crunchy sounds. Okay, if you don't apply too much gain, is very good.
Yep. It's I feel it's not like a metal, because that's not Pliny anyway. Pliny isn't like super very heavy metal himself, but then the lead tones and like the crunch is actually very nice. But if you're looking at heavier tones, then maybe Pliny is not the sort of plugin that one would want to use. But the lead tones are actually really nice to work with, in my opinion. Actually. Yeah, well, so thanks for sharing your tip on how you get your tone. So we're coming close to the end here. So the first question is, what's next, and what should your fans be expecting from you in 2021? Is there anything you can share to us fans?
Well, I hope that we can come back on the stage as soon as possible. So this is the most important thing that we really hope. But let's say we are not sure of nothing by now. We think that it will be possible to do something in the fall, like in October, November. It could be possible maybe to do something, but maybe a tour or something, but we are not sure 100%. So under the point of view of the live shows, we have to understand how he's evolving the situation, like all the other bands. And of course, we will work a lot on maybe new material and new stuff to share online, like playthroughs and stuff like this. So it's the most likely thing that we are gonna deliver in the next month. Okay. For the moment, this is and definitely we will work on new material for for probably a new album or something like this in the near future.
Okay, well, thanks. Looking forward to see all that. Actually, obviously the playthroughs as well, because they're always very, it's very nice to see how it's one thing learning it by ear, but it's actually also quite nice to see how the actual guitarist plays those riffs. So that will be very interesting to watch as well.
I don't know if you have seen my playthrough of Sugar. We delivered it last year. 2020, like in April or May. If you check to it, you can see.
Oh, okay. I'll check out that one, because I remember the recent ones, recent playthroughs are all drum playthroughs, or at least the ones that appear on my feed are the drum playthroughs.
The recent one, yes, but there is one great.
Sorry?
I don't listen to you anymore. I don't listen to you. Yes, now I listen. Sorry,
okay.
The audio was for a second off.
Oh, no problem, no problem. No, I was just saying the recent ones are the drum ones, that are the ones that are appearing more to me are the drum playthroughs rather than guitar. But I'll check out I'll check out Sugar for sure. Yeah. So look, obviously, I said I look forward to hearing what you guys have to produce in this year. So coming to the end of this interview, we always ask for advice. So if one person were to be at your level in terms of technical playability, or maybe the way, or if someone wants to write solos like the way you write, what sort of advice would you give them?
The advice is to listen to a lot of music that you like, especially guitarists. Try to imitate the sound of this guitarist and not try to play exactly what they play, reproducing like solos or stuff like this, but try to study the techniques, applying the technique to the kind of sound that you want to have. Okay, not just learning the solos from the other guitarists, because every people has his own skills, okay, and his own capacity, and not everybody are able to do the same things, okay. But it doesn't mean that you can be good. You can be good, but you have to explore the technique to develop your own sound, okay. This is the advice that I think is important to give.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing that, and I'm sure that will be very useful for a lot of guitarists, including myself as well. So, okay, so thank you so much, Fabio, for your time. And obviously, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's really an honor to speak to you, especially because you are in a band where it's definitely one of my favorite bands, and I really hope that you guys, despite the difficult situation, I hope you guys grind through it like all of us are, and continue to produce amazing music that you guys have been doing for so many years. So do take care, and obviously really looking forward to new material from you guys.
Great, thank you very much.
All right, thank you so much, Fabio.
Thank you. Right. Thank you very much.
Stay in touch. Take care.
It's very fun.
All right. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.